I could tell you a story.
Good.
We were out in Chilkoot, and the run was really good, and the sea lions were really running up there big time. And they came in the daytime, and they just came up, and a few went up the river, and then they backed out. And then all of a sudden, it just like somebody turned on the heat wave, and it got warm that night. And it was just a real dark night, like tonight. It would be real dark out. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Henry Strong and myself and Sandy Stevens and I forget who else. Maybe Mark was there too.
What a crew.
Mark was out there. We were all out there, and I said, "Hey, here they come!" And you could. I just happened to have a flashlight and my headlamp, and I put my headlamp on. And as soon as you hit the headlamp, the fish went down in the water. But the sea lions were driving the fish up the river, the whole river, and it was like a wave of hooligans coming, and you didn't even have to dip. You just put your net down, and the net just would fill up, and you had to have the tub or bucket right there, and you couldn't even pick up the net. You had to go literally pick the whole net up and go. It's full, and they were just jumping out all over the place, and when the sea lions were driving them, they were 2 inches off the water, bubbling, just in a big wave. There were so many hooligans, and that was an awesome sight to see.
Well, I guess I can just kind of give you my point of view. Is I feel that the Hawaiian net is not traditional here. Now, I may be wrong, so just don't take that as word of God or anything like that, you know. But I just feel that, to me, they scare the fish more than you catch them, especially in deeper water. And the traditional net or way of catching them, they're triangle shaped. And on a forked, I guess you would call it a forked stick that they used, and with a stick going across the front. And they were big. I mean, they would basically get in their canoes and float down the river and hold the net right down on the side of the canoe. And as they floated down, they could feel how much hooligan were in the nets, because in the Chilkat River you can't see. Most of the time you can't see. A lot of times you can. But when they felt it was full, they would just close the net, and then they would have to basically roll it into the canoe. And that was the old way. I had never done that. I'm not that old. I may look it, but I'm not. But the Hawaiian nets, getting back to the Hawaiian nets, they're mainly for just standing on along the river bank and throwing them out and hoping that you catch a few, enough to eat or whatever you want.
The Hawaiian net, like here you go again, it's like the Hooligan, they've come from who knows where. Not even the Tlingits know where they come from, I don't even think the biologists know where they come from, because I've read about the Hooligans, in books, and I worked for DIPAC and Juneau, and they have no idea where they came from. But the nets and all that, it's just like when you're dipping, there's an old saying, you go, ooh, like that when you're dipping that Hooligan. She's showing that Hooligan respect. Instead, if you're throwing that net,
it's going to scare them
you're
off.
just scaring them away and telling them fish, pretty much to go away, and we've told a lot of people, to quit doing that, but sad again to say, it was our native people, who were using these nets and wouldn't listen, and to be cultural and traditional minded, then it's time to learn to be cultural and traditional minded if you're going to teach it, right? Otherwise, they're just going against beliefs and everything, in our Tlingit people.
The throw net at 4 mile or the dip net at 4 mile?
I use both.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I usually take them both with me. And then I use them both, because you never know if you're going to be dipping or using the throw net. But usually with that throw net, I like to just put it down because it's so noisy, you know. But the dip net, they can't, you know, you're just dipping them out. But with the throw net, you definitely can, you know, you can get a lot more. But I found I could get just as many by just dropping it over the top of them. Instead of throwing the net, and it was, everybody was using those throw nets, but I just took the net and I was by the river and I just let it open up, and it would open up over the top of them and wouldn't make any noise. It would just
Instead of throwing it
yeah,
down
and
in
instead
the
of
water.
throwing it like whoosh, I would just like get it down to the water and wait for the hooligans to come over the top, and I'd drop it like a big bag.
About a 3 foot wide, 6 foot long, 6 foot deep hole in the ground. Usually wood line. Some have wood line around bottom. Some are just bare ground. You put either seagrass or on the ones without the wood bottoms. And the pits with the wood bottoms, you just put the fish right in there and seal them up for a week to 10 days, depending on the weather, and let them from there.
Next project. Basically, I'm just going to try to nail what I can to get a tip angle. A couple pits with the backhoe so we can put 2 cookers there. But basically, I wanted to get the roof on. We might get a couple. I guess we're going to cook in 9 days from now, maybe less. If the heat keeps up, I don't know. It might be less. Whenever their eye turns red, that's when you cook. And that's the plan.
So you're going to cook them over here?
Yeah, just out where this that little hole spot is. We're going to have Jasper come out and backhoe some of that spot out so we can wheelbarrow that way, and then put the dirt over here and take that dirt, put it on this side, kind of bear-proof it up a little bit. Philip is the one that spiked the logs in. So, you know, we kind of bear-proofed it a little bit. So.
Well, he's gonna.
Yeah,
the males are bigger.
Yeah, and the females are a little more squishier too.
Huh.
Yeah, they're kind of a little squishy, and you can tell. Those are the good smoked ones, though, the males.
Do you save some for that, or you turn them all into a?
Well, last year I smoked, so this year we'll do the oil thing.
While you're waiting for the Hooligan to ripen, you've got to go out and start beach combing and getting wood, and either get it off the beach. A lot of people use beech wood. Some people go cut the trees down, and just whatever you can. It doesn't have to be aged or anything. It's just got to be able to burn good so you can cook your Hooligan. Heat up the water in the tanks. Got to get the tanks all cleaned up, ready to go.
Oh, it's done.
Oil with the eyes.
The what?
The eyes.
The eye.
The eyes have it.
When they get bloodshot.
Really?
When the eyes turn red, they're ready. It takes a week to 10 days, depending on how cold it is outside.
Yeah, it depends. Like right now, the ground itself is still very cold. It might be warm on top, but when you have them covered up and they're down in the ground, it's still very cold down there. So you have to just check them every day and see how they're doing.
Hooligan a lot easier too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to cook everything today. Whatever's left in there. The grass out of these bottom.
look. Wow. See how meaty that is yet?
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing is we're busting it up to a pulp, you know, and you don't want to just, you want to make it into mush is what you're going to do.
Are you involved with that as well?
Where I want to see moose.
Well,
That's a good idea. Oh,
see, and then you just hold it up.
All the oil you bring up in through that moose.
You're going to have more room to push that oil around and get to it instead of grabbing all these impurities and all that and strain and restrain. And
Yep, it's like I make cookie stocks. I do the same thing.
what you're going to do, Steve, you're going to push that oil all the way back over this way from over that way.
Watch me step here.
And I'm going to take a breather, boy.
yeah, good one. Good job. Holy cow.
Now the grease is going to push up like that, and all that stuff's going to be down there. And
To a certain point, but still,
yeah, well, you're still going to, you know, but you're not going to be getting all that slag all the time. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, God dang it.
Way ahead of me, Mark.
Oh, shit. Oh, okay. Okay.
It's coming up behind the deal.
But you see what I'm
down
saying?
there.
See where all the grease
Oh,
is going?
oh.
It's coming this
Oh,
way,
you
right?
need to.
Poke it
Here,
down
I
there.
got this hand on this shovel. Hold on to that.
Push it down.
Don't get your hands dirty, Luke.
Low.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Hey, now remember, you got a big shovel here, so you don't want to come all the way over this way yet, right?
Right.
Somebody hold that.
So let it settle there. Just leave it alone. Let it settle.
Throw the cracker in.
But you see what I'm saying, Luke?
Slow.
Since you knew so much about the beef franks.
Slow.
You see? Isn't that easier
right
instead of
there. That's a
scooping
load
around
right
all the
there.
time?
Holy.
To a certain point, yeah. What's your last name? Williams?
Yeah.
Feel pretty healthy. It's
Needs a pilot bread cracker.
Throw one in there. There's the camera. Throw it.
I want one in pilot bread crackers.
Two.
I'm not going to buy it.
It's going to come splashing out pretty good.
Yeah.
Is he standing far enough away?
Yeah. Final countdown.
Final countdown.
Today, and then we'll do the refining at home and filter one more time, and put it in jars and freeze it up. Might have some boiled fish later. Hopefully, if the salmon are coming in as good as they do, they'll be just right.
So what we do is, you know, I brought it home, and what I do is I let it cool off, and then I put it back on the stove again, and I'll put a real low heat on it. And what I'll do is I'll warm up the oil again a little bit more, and all the impurities will just start dropping down to the bottom from that process. And then what I'll do is I'll have somebody help me, you know, put them in jars, you know, and we'll restrain it again and all that, and it comes out a little bit more clear. But as you can see, there's still some more impurities in there, you know, and but that ain't gonna hurt you at all, you know. At least you got most of it out. But you could always strain it again if you want to, you know, and that's what you try to do all the time, you know, is keep it as clean as you can, you know, because you put a lot of work into one jar, you know. I'd say about maybe 500-600 pounds for 8 gallons. I figured about 600 pounds we had of Hooligans, you know, and we got 8 gallons on 2 cookings. So we were real happy, and we're the only ones here in town that got oil this year, and it's, you know, it was a delightful thing to me, you know, because there was only 4 of us, and we all got 2 gallons apiece, you know, and I already gave out most of my, you know, this is the way I am, you know, like my elders were, you know. That's where your oil, you can put it on your fish, you know, when you either bake it or you boil it, you know, and you always add Hooligan oil, or you could use it in, you can use Hooligan oil also for boiled fish. You know, like if you're making boiled fish, you pour it in while you're cooking it, and that adds a really good flavor. Nobody's ever tried it, man. You need to try this. And not only that, Hooligan oil is a cure for humanity. If you want to be a healthy person all the time, and like everyone else, they want to be healthy. Well, you know what? If you take a spoon of this Hooligan oil every day, you're going to be one healthy person. And that's the truth.
It's like you do salmon then, or?
Like when we did it, we used to just slit them, you know, cut a hole, and then we used to weave them like that, put them together and all that, and hang them up, dry them whole, you know, and we never cleaned them, you know, because no sense in wasting all that, you know.
Hooligan's the same way as, I mean, I dress them.
What do you do?
I actually flay them out.
There's not much left, is there?
Oh yeah, I flay the backbone out, with the backbone out and the head, and I just have 2 flays.
Wow.
And they come out really good.
You leave
a lot
the
of
heads
work
on?
though, isn't it?
It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
1/3 to 3/4 cup of salt
Uh-huh.
in the 5-gallon bucket of hot water.
Hot water.
Use hot water to melt the salt and the sugar together. And usually I do them separate, then pour it into one bucket, and then go ahead and then and then put more hot water in there, because as soon as you put the Hooligans in there, it heats them up, and I start stirring it up, and I let them sit for 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes, and I start hanging them up. Stop by, you'll see. When they get done, it takes about 2.5 days, and I'm done. And usually I do about, if I can squeeze in 700, I will.
It's getting hard for you to be fishing. So does Alden fish for you, or how does that work as far as who gets what when you put it in the pit? Is it all yours, or how's that shared out and stuff?
It goes to everybody. Everybody gets some.
Uh-huh.
You don't fish for one person, you fish for everybody.
Uh-huh.
That's how it's brought up.
So everybody puts in and everybody gets out.
When he goes out, and the first time he sets even the sockeye net out, and the first batch of sockeye he comes home, and it goes all around the neighborhood. Everybody gets fresh fish. And that's what your first catch is. You don't worry about putting it up in the freezer right off the bat. You share it with your neighbors.
Yeah.
And like now, I can't get out. I don't dare get in a skiff because I'm afraid I'm going to fall in the river. My balance is bad and everything. So for years I've done that, and he's doing it. And now the other people are bringing me fish and sharing, you know. And so it works. I mean, remember Josephine, Joe Jurgelite?
Uh-huh.
Every year when a Hooligan comes, she'd show up and she'd have her bucket. And everybody would fill her bucket up for her so she could go home and have her feed, you know.
You know, I would hate to see it go commercial, because I'm hearing too many stories from different biologists all over about them losing the Hooligan run.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you hear they attribute it to?
Just overfishing.
Uh-huh.
Overfishing and waste of them. You know. Yeah.
Have you seen any decline in the runs around here?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, out in Chilkoot I've seen a definite decline, but the weather I think had a lot to do with the movement. They won't spawn in the river if the lake is still frozen.
Uh-huh.
They will not go up there. They'll go to the mouth of the river and spawn there, but they will not spawn up in the river if the lake is still pouring ice out. And if it drops like freezing like it did last year, they'll just back right out.
in with the tides, right? Especially what on high tide.
They'll be in, depending like the weather and all that, you know, even though it's been small tides, they've come in small tides. Usually they come in on the big tides, you know, and that's about like maybe mid-May or first week or in April, you know, and I used to watch for them from the end of April, you know, because I've seen them come earlier before, you know, and come in real pretty heavy. But they could run a whole month if you let them, you know, and that way everybody can get everything they want.
To the fish. They don't know much about them. They haven't really studied too much on them. We're lucky up here that we're not on the limit, but there are places like down by Ketchikan that they've closed the season on them because of the runs getting so small. They don't want it to be depleted completely.
Yeah, they shouldn't be playing around in the water or trying to throw rocks out there at them to scare them towards you, you know. And like I see that happening out in Chilkoot sometimes. They'll start throwing rocks or letting their dogs jump out there, and that moves the fish out there. And you know, everybody gets excited because they're showing up because you can see them. Over on the Chilkat side, you can't see them. You have to know where to go check it out, or to go even look.
You know, like, if this is going to go out, you know, before the Hooligan time, you know, express that feeling, you know, that, hey, leave them alone, you know, let them come in, you know, and then you'll have fun all for a whole month, man, catching these hooligans, you know, and they've come a long ways, man, to be here, right?
That's cool.